This lesson is on triangles. We're going to go ahead and talk about the inside part of the triangles, which we call the angles, and also on the outside part of the leg of the triangle, which we're going to call it the sides. So let's go ahead and talk about the classification of the angles. So there are 4 types of triangles for these angles, and the first part is called the acute triangle, which that means that all of the angles inside are acute. And going back to 7.1 definition of an acute angle, it is less than 90 degrees. So this angle right here is less than 90 degrees. This angle right here is less than 90 degrees. And also this angle right here is less than 90 degrees. Notice that all of the angles, all 3 of them, have to be less than 90 degrees to be called an acute triangle. The second triangle is called an obtuse triangle. The obtuse triangle means, as previously in 7.1, the definition is that anything that is greater than 90 but less than 180. So in this case, we have an obtuse angle right here. This is greater than 90 but less than 180. Although this is right here is an acute and also acute as well, this is called an obtuse because one side is an obtuse, so the whole triangle is called an obtuse triangle. Now the third triangle, similar to the obtuse triangle, one side is a right angle, and as we know from previously, the little square right there tells us that degrees angle. So because one side is 90 degrees, this whole triangle is called a right triangle. Our fourth triangle is called the equiangular triangle, which means that all of those sides are equal. And so if you look at mathematically, the triangle inside is 180 degrees total. If you divide it by 3, that means it would come out to 60 degrees. So each of those angles are 60 degrees. So this is 60 degrees, this is 60 degrees, and this is 60 degrees. This is not to be mistaken to the acute triangle, because the acute triangle are different angles that are less than 90 degrees, but not equal. All sides are not equal, like the equiangular triangle. So please make sure we're careful about those 2 triangles. Now let's talk about the outsides of the triangle, or the legs of the triangle. So the outside leg is always corresponding to the angle that is inside. The inside angular part of this, the corresponding leg is always the opposite leg. So it would be the leg up here that we're talking about. And so each of them will refer to the angle inside, look opposite to that leg that would correspond to it. Now in the scalene triangle, they're saying that all sides are different sizes. So this is called a scalene triangle because there's no congruent sides. The second triangle is called an isosceles triangle, which means that at least 2 congruent sides. The angle inside here, corresponding leg of that triangle would be out here. Angle inside here, corresponding leg to that triangle is here. So those 2 angles have to be the same so that the corresponding leg on the opposite ends would be the same. And our last triangle is called the equilateral triangle. And the equilateral triangle means that all of the angles are equal. So which goes back to the equiangular triangle because all of those are 60 degrees. So in your equilateral triangle, they should also be 60 degrees inside so that the opposite leg part of it will correspond to that. In example 1, to classify this angle, let's go ahead and see what 4 categories would it fit into. Will it be an acute triangle? Will it be an obtuse triangle? Will it be a right triangle? Or would it be an equiangular triangle? This would have to be an obtuse triangle because in this area right here, I can see that it is greater than 90 but less than 180. The angle is called an obtuse triangle. Now, if we look on the outside legs of the triangle, we can see that the outside measurements are all different because the angles inside are all different. So because of that, this is called a scalene triangle. Example 2, looking at the angle, what is this triangle called? It is called a right triangle because we can see that there is a 90 degrees right angle right there. So by the angle part of the triangle classification, it is called a right triangle. Now looking on the outside part of the triangle, what is this called? It is called an isosceles triangle because I can see that there's a 45 degrees right here. The opposite leg is out here, and this right here is the same as the other one, which is the 45 degrees out here. The leg on the outside right here would be the same measurement as well. And also you can see the little dash marks, which also corresponds that those two legs are exactly same measurement, also called congruent. Example 3, classify the angle part of the triangle. So looking at the angle, I see that there is a 90 degrees. So this right here tells me that this would have to be a right triangle. Now looking on the outsides of the triangle, the inside part tells me that there are all different degrees in the inside. So the legs on the outsides are all different side lengths. So this would have to be a scalene triangle because there are no congruent sides. Example 4, classifying this triangle. The angles inside of the triangle, if that is a 60 degrees angle right here, we would have to find out what the other two angles are. So if you do 180 minus the 60, that would give us 0, 2, 1. And so if I have 120 and I divide it by 2, because this angle right here, 1, and this angle right here, 2, have to be exactly the same. So I'm going to divide by 2, and that also equals 60. So each of those angles are 60 degrees. If they are 60 degrees, this triangle is called an equiangular triangle. Now if you look on the outside legs of the triangle, since the outside legs have 3 congruent sides, this is called an equilateral triangle.